What's up, fam? Welcome back to Off the Grid.
Past summer's rap battle between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, and now it's at the center of a legal dispute, with Drake filing petitions to find out if Universal Music Group artificially boosted the popularity of Kendrick's hit diss track, Not Like Us.
We've got some breaking news for you all. Drake just hit Universal Music Group with a fresh lawsuit over defamation tied to Kendrick Lamar's controversial diss track, Not Like Us. But here's the twist. This comes right after he quietly pulled back another major lawsuit against UMG and Spotify. Yeah, it's a wild time to be the sixth god. Let's break this all down, starting with what's going on now and how it ties back to Drake's earlier moves. So here's the deal. A few months ago, Drake made waves when he hit UMG and Spotify with a lawsuit. And this wasn't just some petty artist beef type of thing. This was serious. Basically, Drake wasn't happy with how these big players were handling his music. Drake's team said UMG's exclusive licensing deals with Spotify were limiting his control over his own catalog and cutting into his earnings. Like, imagine being one of the most streamed artists ever and feeling like you're not getting your fair cut. Drake was like, nah, we're not doing this, and took it to court. But here's where it gets even crazier. Just as Drake was wrapping up one legal battle, he's diving into another. Earlier today, news broke that Drake filed a lawsuit against Universal Music Group, accusing them of defamation and harassment. The case revolves around Kendrick Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, which allegedly portrays Drake in a highly damaging light. Drake claims UMG not only approved the track, but actively promoted it, prioritizing profits over his personal safety. According to reports, Drake's team cited incidents like threats to his home and his son being pulled from school as fallout from the track. UMG, however, is denying the claims and framing this as a matter of artistic freedom. To break it down further, the problem wasn't just about money, it was about power and ownership. Drake's catalog is massive, and his influence is even bigger. If someone as successful as Drake can't secure the rights or deal he wants, what does that say about the state of the industry for everyone else? This lawsuit was about setting boundaries and making a statement. So why would Drake settle so quietly after all the noise? One big reason could be the strategic value of maintaining a strong relationship with both UMG and Spotify. For Drake, his music is more than just an income source. It's a brand. A public legal battle might have tarnished that, especially with his massive global fan base. By pulling back the lawsuit, he likely secured something more valuable than just money. He probably gained better leverage over his future deals and control of his music. It's possible that behind the scenes, he negotiated better terms for future releases, ensuring his catalog is treated more favorably in licensing agreements or locking in exclusive deals that benefit him long-term. Maybe he even got a big payout to keep things quiet. Because, let's face it, for someone like Drake, a big settlement could be the perfect trade-off for ensuring the business side of things aligns with his vision moving forward. Here's why this lawsuit mattered. Drake isn't just any artist. He's the artist. Billions of streams, millions of fans, and he's pulling in major numbers every time he drops. If someone like Drake is having issues with the system, you know something's up. And let's be real, this wasn't just about him. Artists have been calling out streaming platforms for years about low payouts and lack of transparency. By filing this lawsuit, Drake was kind of shining a light on problems that have been simmering for a minute. Intentional or not, he ended up representing a bigger conversation about artists' rights in the streaming era. The thing is, streaming platforms like Spotify and deals with massive labels like UMG don't just affect artists, they affect listeners too. Why? Because when artists aren't getting what they need, it changes how they release music. That delay on your favorite album, the limited access to bonus tracks, all of that stems from the business side of things. And Drake's lawsuit tapped into those frustrations that fans and artists alike have been feeling. Alright, fast forward to now, and out of nowhere, Drake's like, alright, we're done here. He officially withdrew the lawsuit, and according to court docs, there's no cost on either side. So, what happened? Here's what we're hearing. Drake's team and reps from UMG and Spotify got together behind closed doors and worked something out. What exactly? We don't know. Nobody's talking specifics. But let's be real, Drake isn't the type to just walk away without getting something in return. Whether it's more control over his catalog or better promo for future releases, you know he's got something out of this. When you're dealing with someone of Drake's stature, money has to be a part of the equation. Some industry insiders are already speculating that Drake might have walked away with a hefty payout. We're talking millions to settle this quietly. It's not just about the dollar signs though. For Drake, it's also about the long-term positioning. Getting paid is one thing, but making sure he's set up to maintain control of his music and future deals, that's the real win here. Here's the kicker though. When Drake first filed the lawsuit, he made it sound like it wasn't just about him. He said he wanted to create a safer space for upcoming artists to challenge these unfair behaviors by major labels and streaming giants. But if we're being honest, the way he dropped this case makes it seem like that might have just been for the headlines. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Drake's been in the game long enough to know how to play it. Did he really care about setting an example for younger artists? Or was it all just leverage for a better deal for himself? You tell me. It's also worth noting that Drake has always played the long game. Think about it, this dude has been at the top of the charts for over a decade. Every move he makes is calculated. Dropping this lawsuit might seem like a step back, but it could actually be a power play. Maybe he's setting up for a new era of his career, or maybe he's just reminding the industry who's boss. So what does this mean for the industry? First, it shows that even the biggest names in the game can hit a wall with these platforms. But it also proves that when you're big enough, you can make these companies sit down and listen. That's huge. This whole situation brings up some important questions. How much control should artists have over their own music? Are streaming platforms doing enough to support creators? And what happens when the biggest artists in the world start pushing back? These aren't new conversations, but Drake's involvement takes them to another level. At the same time, this highlights the gap between big artists and smaller, independent ones. Most up-and-coming artists don't have the resources to take on a giant like UMG. They're still navigating unfair contracts and low payouts, hoping to one day get the kind of leverage Drake has. It's a tough game, and this lawsuit, even if it's over, might inspire more artists to speak up. The internet's been going crazy since this news broke. Some people are hyped, saying Drake stood up for what's right. Others think he's probably cut a behind-the-scenes deal that benefits him and him alone. What do you think? Was Drake trying to set a bigger example, or was this just about handling business for himself? Also, let's not forget, Drake's moves always leave room for speculation. Could this mean we're about to get new music? Maybe an exclusive release on Spotify or another platform? You already know Drake loves to keep us guessing. Whatever's next, you can bet it's gonna be big. And then there's the fans' reaction. Some are calling this a win for artists, while others are saying it's just another example of how the system always wins in the end. Whatever side you're on, there's no denying that this whole situation has people talking. Look, this isn't just about Drake, UMG, or even Spotify. It's about how the music industry is evolving. Streaming has changed the game, for better or worse. On one hand, it's easier than ever for artists to get their music out there. On the other, it's harder than ever to make a living off of it. Drake's lawsuit might be over, but the issues it raised aren't going anywhere. Artists are going to keep fighting for more control and better pay. Fans are going to keep demanding more transparency, and platforms are going to keep walking that line between profit and fairness. It's a balancing act, and right now, it's clear the scales need some adjusting.